The one analogy that I really liked, which I really wanted you to explain a little more on the four-stage analogy on how autonomous cars are compared to the AI development that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. You've heard maybe of the 5 stages of autonomous driving. If you haven't, it was invented maybe or at least conceptualized a few years ago when Apple and Tesla and so many other manufacturers were really on the journey to create autonomous cars. Stage 1, it's kind of like you're driving and you go a little bit over the yellow line, then your steering wheel is going to vibrate or something like that. It's going to tell you, hey, get back on the road.
Yeah.
Goes all the way up through progressively more autonomous stages until you get to stage 5. Stage 5 is kind of like you, your wife, your kid, your best friend are in the back seat playing checkers with each other.
Yeah.
So when I think about AI-assisted development, when I think about AI-assisted engineering, I kind of like to borrow from that same concept. Stage 1 is really where we all started out. What was that, 5-6 years ago? So I happened to work at GitHub at the time. I was leading the team responsible for GitHub Copilot. And we came up with this ghost text, this predictive text.
Okay.
And then it anticipates 1 to 10 lines ahead of wherever you're typing. Here's the function or the class that you might have written.
Yeah.
That's stage 1. It certainly saves us a few keystrokes, as it were, but it's not necessarily going to write an application for you. All right. Stage 2 was chat. Chat came out, maybe a year and a half later, something like that. Essentially, it allows you as a developer to ask questions about the code that is directly in front of you, maybe to explain a particular file, maybe to make some changes, add code comments to this file. Still very useful, but elementary.
Yeah.
Stage 3. Stage 3 is, I think, where most developers really spend their days today using AI assistants. In this case, yes, I'm still using a chat window of some kind, but I'm asking questions not about a single file, but about many components. I'm asking, hey, how does this particular view interact with the data model? So it actually has to reason over the view, the model, the controller, maybe even a connection back to a database. So I'm now thinking really about my application rather than a single file that's in front of me.
Yeah.
Stage 4, arguably, is what we're all just experimenting with, maybe finding some limited use cases where we are successful today. Stage 4 is effectively giving the model or the agent some instructions and then allowing it to respond into an SDLC event of some kind or software development lifecycle event of some kind. So a good example of this is maybe an AI-assisted code review.
Yeah.
As a developer, I submit some code. Then the agent picks up. It analyzes the code. It may even analyze some documentation that my team has provided to essentially reflect back how the code could be improved in some way.
Yeah.
Some of it is applying best practices and principles that the model already has baked into it from just the general knowledge out there in the universe about software development, but some of it is then informed by your team's documentation and instructions. Stage 4 is particularly useful today, or I think most folks are finding success with it, in scenarios that are non-destructive. Right? A code review, it's just going to return back some information.
Yeah.
You can choose whether or not to interact with it, to respond with it in any way, but ultimately the agent is not going to go do a delete star from a particular database. Yeah. Stage 5 is what collectively we all have a shared vision for. It's that L5, L6 SWE agent that is going out there and just on its own volition solving problems for you.
Yeah.
You might say you are an L5 SWE, you're responsible for performing SRE duties for this particular application. Go make sure that we stay online all the time in maximum availability. Yeah. And it is just out there looking for spikes in critical errors. It is evaluating deployments up against SBOMs and critical known vulnerabilities so that it can do a rollback if there's ever a vulnerability discovered in a dependency that's in that application. But it's the agent acting on its own. So clearly, that is not where we are at today.
Okay.
We're in that little, like that gradient between stage 3, a developer asking questions of the model, making requests of the model to make large changes. This is if you're using Gemini CLI, if you're using Cursor, if you're using Windsurf or Devin, most of these developer tools are operating in that stage 3 space. A few instances, we're reaching towards stage 4. And I think we'll get there eventually. We're going to get there to stage 5.
Yeah.
It's going to be a few years, though.